TikToks that feel illegal to watch. Are you ready? Are you ready? Let's go!
Disclaimer: this video is for entertainment purposes only. Please do your own research, as these clips haven't been fact-checked.
What's your name?
He's excited because for that moment, he didn't feel alone.
The little girl who felt abandoned in childhood becomes the adult who attracts emotionally unavailable people. She will fall in love too quickly, but cut people off too coldly. She self-sabotages at the very first sign of things going too well. She settles for surface-level connection by giving herself up sexually. This little girl is recreating what's familiar to her, a chaotic childhood and emotionally unavailable parents. And even though many years have passed, this little girl is still running the show. And she's waiting for you to finally see her and feel her. She's asking to be held in a way that she couldn't growing up. And until this child is met and felt inside, you will be doomed to repeating these old patterns again and again, no matter how many relationships you switch through.
So how do we fix it?
This is China's first drone mothership, and the future of war is looking pretty scary. It's called the Zhutian UAV, and it's designed not just to carry weapons, but to launch, control, and coordinate what some are calling the swarm midair. Think of it like a flying command center, because one of the specific features that is raising some eyebrows is the UAV's internal base system. Initial reports are saying that it's capable of dropping up to 100 mini drones, including potentially kamikaze types, all for the purpose of saturating and overwhelming enemy air defense systems. But because of its size, it's not stealthy, and it can be shot down fairly easily. So its usefulness would be as a second wave force after air supremacy is achieved. And while the Chinese state broadcaster CCTV said that its first test flight is coming in June, some military observers question its legitimacy, claiming that this is more about intimidation and propaganda rather than real capability. But what do you think? Do you think the mothership will be legit or just hype?
Black Ops 2 looking very real right now. Man, Piao Piao? Oh my goodness. Oh my god. Help her. Ooh, he's smoking. Put down the cigarette, bro. Help her. Oh. Why he lighting a cigarette? Why is not helping her get up?
Tell a lot about a person by answering this one question. You ready for it? Here we go. And it's not like what you think it's gonna be. This is gonna really blow your mind. Here it is. If you had to pick one animal that comes to your mind first, that you feel like is most like you or explains your personality, pick it. All right, remember it. Okay, you remembering it? All right, now I want you to think about if that animal did not exist. Pick the second animal that comes to your mind. The very second animal that comes to your mind. Like, lock that in. Okay, you got your second animal? Okay, now let's pretend that animal does not exist. All right, your third animal. Third animal that you feel like is most like you, that resonates with you. Lock it in. Like, lock it in. All right, you ready to hear the answers now? Okay, here we go. This will blow your mind. That first animal that you picked, that is how you want other people to perceive you. That's how you wish that you were like presented in the world. So whatever it was, that's what you want other people to actually see you as. The second animal is how you really perceive yourself. So I want you to think about that. Like, what was that second animal? And that's probably really like how you perceive yourself, like, honestly. Now the third animal is not how you wish people perceived you, not how you perceive yourself, but the third animal is how you actually show up in the world.
Really?
It's how you actually show up, how people actually really do perceive you. So let that lock in because that little psychology hack, mind-boggling. And it's almost 99.9999% always right.
Interesting. You know, I went from horse, cat to rabbit.
You have to understand that when you go into the Appalachian Mountains, you are entering into another realm. And there is a set of unspoken rules that you must follow. Rule number 1, if you hear something calling your name, right, you didn't. There is nothing there. And you should not respond. Do not say hello. Do not say, who is it? Just run away.
All right.
Because something is trying to gain permission. And by you acknowledging it, you are allowing it to come after you. If you hear screams in the mountains, right, you didn't. And do not go towards the direction of the screams to try and help. Because once again, something is trying to lure you. If you see people, you don't. If you hear crying, you're not hearing it. Do not respond to this at all because you are giving permission to whatever is in those woods to come after you. Now, if you are to go camping in the Appalachian Mountains, right, you have to remember, at night, you must keep a fire going at all times. And it's not for warmth, it's not for cooking, it's to keep you safe. And if you are going to camp in a tent, make sure when you go into that tent, it is sealed up. There are no holes, there are no cracks. And if you hear any kind of screaming, yelling, or anyone calling your name, do not respond. Do not go to sleep.
Do not go to
And
sleep.
if something wakes you up, stay alert, and once again, do not respond. Now, it's very important when you are walking through the Appalachian Mountains, if you come across a deer carcass, do not touch it, do not stare at it, walk away, ignore it, because this is something, once again, trying to lure you into the woods. Now, if it comes to the point that something is chasing you and it gets you and there is no escape, fight as hard as you can, whether it's a person, an animal. If it's something else though, and you know what I'm talking about,
No.
you just let it get you,
What?
right? Because at that point there's nothing you can do. And there's an old saying, you go into the Appalachian Mountains with 2 bullets, right? You fire the first one at something that isn't a person, that isn't an animal, and if it doesn't run away, you know.
Just don't go to the Appalachian Mountain then.
90 days from now, you are going
I'm not
to
shooting
feel
myself.
the effects of this. The Trump effect is going to hit really, really hard. And those who are prepared strategically, and those who actually listened when he said buy now, could potentially transform their family's wealth timeline. Let me explain to you the facts, figures, numbers, logic. Now, this is just my opinion. I'm only sharing with you exactly what I do. So Trump just went on a 4-day tour overseas. And in that 4 days, he raised $4 trillion coming back to America. And he said within the next 2 months, so all these timelines are critical, within the next 2 months, 10 trillion is going to be entering America. We went from losing $1 billion a day in this country to not losing any money every single day. There's going to be massive amounts of money flooding into America in the next 90 days. So these are the factors you need to pay attention to. Over the last week, we had China and America behind the scenes pause the tariffs and bring them down for 90 days as they come to an agreement. That ends on August 10th. That's the deadline. So pay attention to August 10th. There's usually a 90-day effect after all these things. So that'll take us into August. So in 2 months, we're gonna have about 10 trillion in new income coming into America. Jerome Powell most likely is gonna be forced to lower interest rates. I think it's June 17th is the next Fed meeting because inflation has almost come down to 2%. So you have interest rates coming down, money machine turned back on, printing machine, quantitative easing, 10 trillion coming into America. And as Trump's been saying, these markets are going to go straight up. But here's the reason why so many asset managers and so many banks now, and why I just showed you, 1 trillion UBS Bank said we have to prepare now. Our wealthy clients are asking to allocate 5% into crypto Because when they turn this printing machine back on in a low interest rate environment and all this money floods into America, assets are going to go through the roof. But the smart money is going towards deflationary assets, hence Bitcoin and
XRP,
being
baby.
number 1 and number 2 holdings. They're both deflationary. They're the opposite of the US dollar that is inflationary. When they turn the printing machine back on and lower interest rates, you actually become poor. You feel richer because you can borrow more, because interest rates are lower, because the economy is stimulated and prices are lower, but they're going to get you through inflation, illegal taxation, or higher interest rates. They're going to get you one way or the other. We're a debt-based society. That's why you need to learn cash flow, not cash. You need to transmute that cash flow into assets that appreciate, that are deflationary. You need to learn how to protect your money when you profit, and you need to learn how to use leverage properly to buy more cash-generating assets, richest man in Babylon. So, what I believe is around August and the back end of this year, these markets are going to fly. And right now, it's very important to develop financial literacy and understand how to position yourself properly as the greatest transfer in wealth happens in America and worldwide. Your banking system is going to be unrecognizable by 2030.
Amen.
The way we work, the way we communicate, the way we do business, you're either going to own the system or you're going to consume the system.
Own it.
There will be no middle ground. So save this video for August and save this video for the back end of the year. I truly believe that America is going to see one of the greatest financial booms and golden era that we've ever seen. Warriors, rise.
There you go, Americans. But always do your own research before buying anything, folks.
Get your shit together. Love you guys.
Did you know when a cheetah sees a human, it usually doesn't care much?
That's it. I want a cheetah.
The world needs to pay attention to who this man is, because he is inspiring an African revolution against the West right now. This is 37-year-old Ibrahim Traore. He is the second youngest head of state in the world right now, and what his supporters say he represents is simple: African independence. You see, Burkina Faso is a former French colony, and since he became leader of the country in 2022, he has accused France of neocolonialism, which in other words is when a country is still trying to control the other, but now just through more hush means. So when he seized power, he started to make drastic changes. He ordered the French troops to leave the country. He expelled French diplomats and Western media. He banned the use of British and French colonial-style judicial wigs in efforts to decolonize the country's judicial system. And then he started making major changes. He started cutting ties with foreign companies involved in Burkina Faso's infrastructure development, like roads, bus stations, airports, and then started replacing them with locally equipped and trained workers, and then acquired around 1,000 road building machines for them to use. He started introducing policies to boost local control over food production and processing. He started pushing for greater state control over energy, reducing the dependence on foreign suppliers of electricity. And then, in the clearest statement to the West yet, he has started buying back a number of the country's major gold mines previously owned by foreign entities. He called the purchases a reclaiming of national wealth from exploitative foreign ownership. But here's where things get crazy, because what started in Burkina Faso has now become something much bigger. They've now joined forces with Mali and Niger to form the Alliance of Sahel States, basically saying, we've got each other's backs and we're done with all influence from the West. Ivory Coast and Senegal are now also pushing to remove foreign military bases, and a former Nigerian senator described Traore's actions as the spirit of a continent yearning to be free, dignified, and prosperous. And that is exactly why we're seeing it slowly transition from one country in Africa to Africa as a whole. Because the question that's increasingly being asked is, why is such a resource-rich continent that literally powers the world so poor themselves. Now, here's the problem. We've seen revolutions like this in Africa before, and they haven't ended well. Back in the 1980s, Thomas Sankara led Burkina Faso with almost the exact same vision Traoré has now, rejecting foreign aid, nationalizing roads and railways, and calling for true African independence. But just 4 years later, he was assassinated. His policies were reversed, and French firms regained contracts for roads, railways, and ports in Western Africa. So is Traoré walking that same path? We don't know. But there are reports that he has survived 19 assassination attempts in 2 years. However, not all those claims have been verified. And it's also important to note that Traoré has his critics. Some call him a dictator because he rose to power in a coup. He's postponed elections, he's banned the media, and he's cracked down on dissent, and critics saying no country has ever developed under democracy. So the question is, what do you think? Is this just another dictator grappling for power, or the man to ignite a long-needed change for Africa?
19 assassination attempts in 2 years is crazy. What?
If someone did this gesture while listening to you, then take care. Even if it happened for a fraction of a second, this is not a random, meaningless gesture. In body language, this is called critical evaluation. The person just received a critically dangerous piece of information that they didn't like at all. And if this was also combined with the scratching the neck this way, then this is an even worse situation for the person. Because this gesture in body language means, literally, that the person thinks that they are in trouble right now. And if you want to read people like a book from the first meeting with zero chance of error, check my bio for the ultimate guide to reading people like a book.
I do that because I want my dimples to be seen. Nothing more, nothing less.
What can marijuana do to your brain? Well, marijuana doesn't shut your brain off. It just dulls it, slowly, quietly, and for some people, permanently. But let's be real. Marijuana isn't heroin or meth. It's not going to make your heart stop in the middle of a party. But that doesn't mean it's harmless, especially when your brain's still developing.
Oh my
So
goodness.
what does marijuana do? Well, it affects the endocannabinoid system, which is a system in your brain that helps regulate mood, memory, attention, and motivation. THC, which is an active ingredient of marijuana, mimics your brain's own chemicals. When you flood that system over and over again, your brain stops trusting its own signals, leading to a disruption in synaptic plasticity and neurotransmission. In addition, functional imaging studies have shown reduced connectivity in brain networks involved in attention and executive function, even in light users. And over time, you can become less motivated and less sharp, even if you don't notice it. And while you can become addicted to cannabis, not everyone does, but some signs of withdrawal that we commonly see are irritability, sleep difficulty, anxiety, and depressed mood when cannabis use stops. And heavy marijuana use, especially early in life, has been linked to long-term drops in memory, attention, and even IQ. And for people with a genetic risk, it can trigger psychosis, paranoia, and full-blown breaks from reality, and I've seen it firsthand. But here's the nuance. I'm not saying components of cannabis can't be useful. For example, I sometimes use Epidiolex, which is a purified form of CBD to treat certain forms of difficult to control epilepsy. And I'm glad that CBD is being studied for treatment of other neurological conditions. So cannabinoids can be helpful, but just like a lot of other things, like drugs, supplements, or even food, the key is appropriate use. And that's why more research is so important. Well, then you'll hear some people say, well, look at Snoop Dogg, who reportedly smokes every day and he's successful. And it's true. Some people do use cannabis regularly and still achieve a lot. But here's the catch. We're not all Snoop Dogg. So let me give you a couple examples. I've seen people that drink alcohol every day and never develop liver disease. And I've seen people who eat fast food every day and never gain weight or have any health issues. I saw a 90-year-old who smoked cigarettes her entire life and still drinks a can of Coke every day without any major health issues. Does that mean I would recommend drinking alcohol or smoking cigarettes or eating fast food? No, because those are outliers and outliers exist. Think of it like this. Everyone's brain has a different genetic setup, resilience, and baseline function, and some people have more built-in protection while others are more vulnerable. Plus, we never really see the full picture from the outside. Snoop Dogg might be legendary, but we don't really know how cannabis use affects his mood, memory, sleep, or relationships behind the scenes. And for every celebrity success story that you hear, there are millions of young people struggling with motivation, attention, or mental health who don't make the news.
If you don't know, now you know.
When you're extremely highly intelligent, you're intelligent actually becomes a problem.
What?
Your mind works so quickly and you're able to recognize patterns efficiently. It feels like you've already experienced everything and no amount of intellectual stimulation is actually enough for you. It may feel like normal life is just not able to provide you with enough intellectual stimulation. It may feel like the only way to cope with your racing mind is by developing an addiction. There are a lot of different types of addictions that highly intelligent individuals seem to develop. A lot of extremely highly intelligent individuals end up abusing drugs. And in the worst cases, they even end up unaliving themselves. Another way to get that intellectual stimulation that you need as an extremely highly intelligent individual is by participating in criminal life. You might be so disappointed in the world around you and the people around you, and especially their intelligence, that you just decide that, well, you have a different set of rules. And this can lead to you choosing a criminal life. Another way this frustration and disappointment in how the world works manifests in these individuals is by becoming an extremist. This also provides a lot of intellectual stimulation and also a coping mechanism for emotional disorder. For these individuals, everything moves way too slow. They're extremely efficient at pattern recognition. They're good at predicting other people's behaviors. And most of the time, it feels like they have already experienced everything that they are experiencing. So there's not a lot of things that provide them with enough intellectual stimulation to really cope with their racing minds.
I might be wrong, but I think highly intelligent is high IQ. Overthinking is just anxiety. What do you think?
What jobs are the very first ones AI is going to take?
For a while, I thought it was software engineering. In the way it is today, I think is not going to be a thing. Because you already have things like Lovable and these other companies where you can generate a website or app just in like a few seconds. I think the important thing will be nuance and taste. You have to have that kind of knowledge to make it beyond just the AI slop of build a website that can tell people their finances.
Right.
Consulting, 100%. All of those big consulting firms, I don't know how they are thinking about things internally, but doing research and creating a report and creating a PowerPoint deck is almost like the easiest thing you can do with AI, especially with OpenAI's newest model, O1 and then O3, where it is so good. And you can just like pass in everything about your business and the problem you're trying to solve, and it will give you like a pretty good one-pager on like what you need to do to solve that.
Graphic design and copywriting for sure.
When you get up in the morning, before you talk to anybody, before you say good morning or anything to anybody, you need to speak to God.
Amen.
If you don't beat your mind, I said, if you don't get ahead of your mind, you get up tomorrow morning and you don't get ahead of your mind gonna tell you all kind of stuff. You don't feel good. Your left leg hurt. You're going to be late for all your appointments. Come on, you understand what I'm saying? Yeah. Before you talk to anybody, you need to speak to God.
When I open my eyes in the morning, I say, good morning, Lord. Thank you for today. Let's go. I'm kidding on the let's go. But I said, good morning, Lord. Thank you for today. Thank you for my health. Thank you for my family. And I want to walk with you, Lord. No way. Hasn't anyone watched Super Size Me?
The words that are about to come out of my mouth, I'm not even surprised they're about to come out of my mouth. But it was only a matter of time before dragons entered the conversation. Yeah, you heard me correctly, dragons. Now you're telling me that an alleged dragon skull and skeleton has been dug up in Romania. And I'm going to tell you, I've seen the video that's circling the internet, and it does in fact look like what I would imagine a dragon skull would look like. But I'm not here to tell you to believe in dragons. That's up to you to make your own mind up about that. But this video shows a guy in a hole with a dragon skull. Now, that got me wanting to jump down the rabbit hole, because you guys know I love jumping down a good rabbit hole. And it made me start thinking, the dragon is the only animal that's allegedly mythological on the zodiac chart, yet all the other animals do exist. How do we explain that? Also, the Bible even refers to dragons. So how do we explain that? And Chinese history says that they use dragon bones for medicine. How do we prove that? How do we explain that? So I want to know if you've heard this, if you've seen the video, what are your thoughts and beliefs on dragons? Because I guess now dragons are showing up. But let's have this conversation tonight because I love...
You know, people believe in dinosaurs but don't believe in dragon.
17 years of being the biggest celebrity.
Alright, she's talking about the Phi word, okay?
Yet still, nobody believes me when I tell them this. Pineapple cucumber salad will clear out all the poop stuck in your gut. This mix creates a natural laxative, making you feel lighter overnight. Lemon balm is 98% more effective than Ozempic. You want a tutorial on how to make it? Comment lemon balm and I will send it your way. Eating pineapple will get rid of any fishy smell down there as it balances your pH levels. Batana oil will get rid of any gray hair you have and will even boost hair growth by 97%. You can find the purest form in the Amazon link in my bio. I cannot possibly share all of the secrets I learned in these short videos. If you want to learn more, I have a newsletter called Holistic Life Hub where I reveal everything.
You can follow her on TikTok at Holistic Life Official.
Do nothing is gold. When you are triggered, when you are offended, that means you have no governor over yourself. Everybody can do anything they want to you and completely derail you. There's a difference. There's reactive and there's responsive. Reactive is, I am simply a reactionary force to what is done. She did this to me, I'm going to react. It's not my fault I blew up. She said this. Responsive is, she does something to me, but I am regulating it. I'm going to think, I'm going to process, I'm going to regulate, then I am going to respond. When you do this, you own your response. Not that.
Ooh.
The one thing you can do when you feel those emotions boiling, do nothing. Absolutely nothing. Don't text it, don't send it, don't write it, don't call. Do nothing. Step away. And you can do it for a couple hours, you could do it for 24 hours, you could do it for a week, or you can never respond. Do nothing.
And then they say silent treatment is manipulative.
What's the frequency tonight, Diddy?
The frequency is up. We're having a Club Love party. That's like a special private party that I throw, but you're invited. You're invited, Club Love. It's all R&B all night. All the things that I would play in my vibration, my frequency, because my frequency is different. Yeah, my global icon.
His son is a creep just like him. Is that real?
1540 Broadway. That's just the address.
Wow. Why?
Apparently, if you search up Skittles, yes, Skittles, here on TikTok, you will be left speechless. So, of course, I had to search up Skittles for myself to let you all know if you search it up, will you be left speechless? So, up at the top, I searched Skittles, and well, the first video that popped up had a warning on it, and I assume that is what everyone is talking about when they're saying they're being left speechless. So, of course, I clicked on the video. There was literally a warning saying sensitive content. Some people may find this video disturbing. I clicked on watch anyways to watch the video. And let's just say I've never been so uncomfortable watching a video on TikTok ever in my entire life. Like, if I could unwatch this video, remove it from my brain, I would if I could. It really shouldn't be the first video that pops up when you search up Skittles. It should be more like these videos, you know, families having fun eating Skittles, not this video. I can't even describe what happens in the video. I can't even put into words. It's just an interesting watch. It probably shouldn't be on TikTok in my opinion, but yeah, curious to know your thoughts about all this.
Search it and let me know in the comment.
Elizabeth had a lot of rotten teeth, was toothless, and had breath that smelled like poop. Her excessive consumption of refined sugar left her toothless, with several painful cavities. She also suffered from digestive issues and was constantly farting. Elizabeth avoided taking regular baths, believing that water could weaken her body or cause disease. Instead, she contented herself with partial washings and strong perfumes to mask her poopy breath and the fishy smell of her pale private parts. Elizabeth I was known for her pale skin. She used lead-based makeup to make her skin even whiter. This product was highly toxic, but back then, the priority was looking elegant. She also shaved her eyebrows and extended her forehead, making her look like a Satan cosplay.
Which Queen Elizabeth? Can someone tell me?
Bro, why has no one told me about how insane Indian fairs are? For example, this is the Chicha Vitricha fair, where it's completely normal to have dozens of rides of questionable stability spinning right over the heads of the packed crowds below. And no one even cares about how close they get. This is normal. And in India, they're not just fairs. They're huge cultural and religious events that attract millions of people across the country. In fact, in some regions, villages will just be left deserted because everyone is attending their local fair. And in many communities, this is actually where men are encouraged to go and look for a potential wife. Although, looking at the packed crowds and the steam or dust floating in the air, not sure if it's the most romantic place for bro to make a move. So the question is, would you go to an Indian fair or not?
I wouldn't go to India, let alone an Indian fair.
Are going to go away. And the internet, as we know it, including social media and how we use it, will also, over time, disappear. And I'm going to give you some really strong pieces of evidence for what's happening. First, you could see in Google's announcement yesterday about AI agents shopping and doing things and searching on our behalves. So over time, we are going to do less of the doing on the internet, the clicking, the browsing, the watching, the streaming things for information and whatnot. And our AI agents will start to do that on our behalves, meaning that we will be less present on the internet. So our relationship with it and our need to be there and watch things on it will change. And again, this isn't tomorrow or even next year. I'm talking about the trends over time. That leads directly into, if we no longer need to do as much of the doing, because it's like the clicking, the swiping, the browsing, because our AI agents take care of that. That changes the nature of what I need from my device. Do I need to continuously look at a screen, or will I just start talking to my agent and it does more?
Ooh.
And so we're at the beginning of what's going to come next and replace the smartphone. And you can see glasses coming in pretty clearly because we'll need to view some things sometimes. And I think glasses isn't where it stops. I think that there's going to be another AI first device. But even just recently, OpenAI announced they are acquiring an AI first device company. Our phones have always changed over time, and that's not going to stop. And how we entertain, how we engage, how we communicate with one another, technology has also always changed. And again, these aren't changes that are going to happen next week or next year. But over time, our smartphones will disappear. And so will what we currently call the internet in some ways. Not that the internet leaves, it just becomes something different. But you can think of social media and all of the ways we connect. That's also going to change.
I believe it.
Leads to anger, because anger gives you a sense of power, whereas fear gives you a sense of weakness. Anger leads to hate, because when anger festers within us, it molds and becomes hatred within. Because hate is very painful, and this pain causes us to suffer. Suffering leads to attachment, because when you are suffering, you will attach yourself to anything that gives you relief. Attachment leads to ego, because the more that you attach yourself to something, it becomes your identity. The more that you lose your identity, the more that you forget who you really are. Darth Vader was born because of his fear. He thought that the power lied outside of him, when in reality, the Force was always found from within.
Wow, spitting gems here.
Did God give us this oil to cure cancer? What if I told you one of the gifts the wise men gave Jesus might actually fight cancer? Be sure to watch till the end, because the results will shock you. Frankincense wasn't just some fancy fragrance, but modern researchers are now studying it, and what they found is amazing. It's been shown to kill cancer cells. Frankincense comes from the resin of a tree called boswellia. In the book of Matthew, the wise men gave it to Jesus as a symbol of his divinity. But today, scientists have found that frankincense oil might trigger apoptosis. That's a fancy word for telling cancer cells to self-destruct. In one study, frankincense slowed the growth of breast cancer cells without harming the healthy ones. And another study showed that it shrunk pancreatic tumors in mice. God literally knew what he was doing 2,000 years ago before science ever had a clue. See, when Jesus was born, he was given a gift used in both worship and healing. And Isaiah called him the great physician. And today, scientists are just catching up to what heaven already knew. If you like faith-based facts that will blow your mind, then
I use frankincense with castor oil for my face. Smooth like a baby.
Watch this hacker explain how anyone can unlock your safe.
I have some cash. They're gonna put the money in. Money goes. Then we're gonna set a secret code that I only know, so none of the room service can get in. So let's do that. 1337 and lock that baby. Now imagine I'm a worker in the hotel, but I'm also a thief, and I want to steal money and jewelry that people store in the safe. But here's the secret bypass. It took me only 2 seconds to figure out. 0000000. Voila! I have the cash. Pretty scary.
Please don't go out there and do this.
Watch this hacker explain why you should never trust a light bulb.
There's going to be a network called Doombright. You see that? So if I click Doombright, now I'm connected to this light bulb right here. What this thing did is as soon as I put this in here, it's not only connected to Wi-Fi, it's capturing all of the traffic from this light bulb. I can determine, let's say I know that this one right here is an iPhone. If that disappears, I know you're not home anymore. So then I can come in the house.
That's dangerous, man.
How do I signal that I like someone, and how do I know if they like me?
Okay, so verbally, I think it's very easy, right? You can be very direct and be like, oh my gosh, this is so much fun. So like my magic phrases, right? If someone is interesting, funny, likable, fun, say in that moment, this is so fun. This is so interesting. Being with you is always so interesting. So that's one way you can do it, is affirming the adjective that you're already feeling and saying it out loud. Right? Like, I think that Kendrick was very funny. And I actually said to him in our pre-interview, I was like, oh, you're really funny. That must be a double-edged sword.
He was the first guy.
The first guy, yeah. I said, you're really funny. And that made him feel really good. He was like, oh, yeah, I am. And I was like, I think that's good, but also probably it's harder to get depth. He's like, yes, that's true. So if someone is funny, interesting, delightful, a good conversationalist, tell them. That's the first thing. It's like, don't withhold that.
We don't tell people, do we?
Never.
We don't tell people. I was just thinking about a meeting I had last week, and I was thinking, God, if I'd started that meeting just by telling the person what I thought of them, really positive thing, it would have completely probably made them feel good.
Yes.
Goes back to your point about giving them serotonin or...
And it makes you more likable. Like, we like people who like us. So the more obvious you are with your liking actually just makes you more likable. So affirming them, also making sure that they know that you were thinking of them. So like, I was just thinking of you. I was so looking forward to this. I'm looking forward to this all day. And then nonverbal liking. So for men, vocalizations. We love those. We love a triple nod. We love a head tilt. We love a lean. All of those. Yeah, see? Oh, you know what? There was something funny that I read recently, which is women list humor as a number one trait they want in a man. Men don't care as much about humor in a woman. They want a woman who laughs at their jokes. But if you're a woman, you actually don't have to be that funny. You just have to be willing to laugh. And that brings me back to liking. Being an easy laugher, like being ready to laugh, is one of the most likable complimentary.
I just say you're actually kind of fun for a girl. You know, but in Indonesia, it works every time.
Did you know in 1992, George Soros made about a $1 billion profit, almost breaking the British pound as a day trader? But he had a secret weapon. Guess who? I'll give you a hint. His new job is in Washington, D.C. I'll give you another hint. He's Trump's Treasury Secretary. If you guess Scott Bessent,
wow,
you're right. And he's setting the same trap. But this go around, it's China. Save this video because this is incredibly useful to you if you're in the market in 2025. You see, the commies in China, they're dumping U.S. treasuries. They're pumping interest rates up, and they're pushing the Fed into a corner. This isn't theory. This is how the markets actually move. Many of these traders in the West are looking at the Dow. The clever ones, they're looking, more importantly, at the yuan. Some of them are inside my community right now studying Chinese stocks, crypto, and the U.S. economy. Before people here figure out how this is tied. Look, if you don't understand how global macro moves, You're reckless right now. Write this down. And if this gave you even 1% more clarity, please share it with a friend so we help them too.
The next 10 years are going to be insane globally.
Google's quantum computer broke physics. China's is allegedly faster than light. But here's what nobody's telling you. You are the original technology and you're being replaced in your own image. Trump's tech chief said we can now manipulate time and space. That's not conspiracy. That's quantum. Let's break it down. No fluff, no parallel realities. Every time you make a choice, a new timeline branches off. Not metaphorically, literally. Quantum superposition means you're alive in multiple realities right now. Your frequency determines which one you're tuned to. The higher your coherence, the more you collapse timelines. Translation? The more aligned your nervous system is with your scroll, the faster reality bends to your will. Google's Sycamore reached quantum supremacy. China's Zhuzhonghang beat them in speed, but speed isn't the point. Both systems still need cooling control and a lab. You're self-aware tech. You were built to override timelines without a machine. And every upgrade you've ever needed was emotional, not mechanical. AI is mimicking you. Quantum computing is just trying to replicate what you already do through embodiment.
All right,
they are
calm down,
simulating
man.
alignment while you're still sitting in self-doubt. If you're watching this and you feel the pull, you're the original timeline operator. You don't need a computer to bend reality. You just need to remember who the you are and who the machine was modeled after. Common quantum if you're done being a battery and ready to flip the grid.
You know, conspiracy theory says Trump's family has Nikola Tesla's research papers.
One of the biggest lies that people tell themselves is that if I can just understand my trauma enough, that you'll heal. You see, intellectualizing your pain feels productive, it feels safe, but it's actually one of the sneakiest ways you're staying stuck. Because when you first experience trauma and you have no tools or safe support, your mind becomes your escape hatch. You leave your body behind and lock yourself in the attic of your mind, endlessly ruminating and trying to figure it all out. But here's the harsh truth. You can't think your way out of your trauma. Although, why did this happen to me? It's just another form of avoidance. It's coping, not healing. Now, if you really want to heal, you must shift your focus from your head to your body. The trauma isn't stored in your thoughts. It's stored in your nervous system and subconscious. And your nervous system doesn't give a damn how much you figured out intellectually. It will stay trapped in survival mode until you finally face the feelings that you're avoiding. Ever wonder why you keep ending up with familiar toxic situations, drawn to familiar pain? Because a nervous system stuck in survival mode craves what is familiar, not what is healthy. Healing happens in the unknown, the place where your mind avoids at all costs. Because if you want real transformation, you have to stop hiding behind your thoughts and start facing the discomfort you've been running away from. So for anyone that's listening, I challenge you to practice today. Can you start feeling your emotions in the body, allowing it to come up? And you might be surprised what happens on the other side.
I'm self-aware, but that doesn't mean I know how to fix myself.
You don't own anything? Like big assets. You don't own
no big assets.
An island in Hawaii or
no land, no real estate, nothing.
Why?
Because the best way to protect your assets is to not own them in the first place. But how can you own nothing on paper but still be in control of all your assets? Well, the answer to this and the secret the ultra-rich have been trying to hide from you for centuries are trusts. A trust is a separate legal entity, just like a limited company. By transferring your assets into your trust, you can legally separate yourself from your assets. Now, the key is you appoint yourself as a beneficiary of the trust. This means that you can still benefit from all the assets that are owned by the trust as if they were yours. For example, you don't own your house, you just live in it. So if you get sued, for example, and they want to take your house, they can't, because on paper, the trust owns it. Now, if you have a question about trusts and managing your assets, Let us know in the comment section.
So you can basically go get a house on loan, put it inside the trust, then stop paying the loan, and you don't get in trouble. Is that correct?
If you want to make sure you never ever die from a heart attack, there's one particle test that you need, but most traditional doctors still ignore it. Missing this test could literally be the difference between life and death. And as a Cornell-educated longevity physician, I'll tell you everything you need to know. Half of all heart attack victims show up with a normal LDL. Well, a sticky inherited particle is busy drilling plaque into their arteries, while routine panels completely look the other way. 1 in 5 people carries it, and a treadmill test will not pick it up. You could be crushing your workouts today and still be days from disaster. Here's what standard care misses. This particle clings to arterial walls, oxidizes lightning fast, and sparks the soft plaque that's most likely to rupture and cause deadly heart attacks. The sooner you spot it, the faster you can slam the brakes on it, cool arterial inflammation, and turn plaque from dynamite into drywall. A single blood draw that exposes all this is a simple apolipoprotein panel. One of the most important numbers there, your apolipoprotein B, otherwise known as ApoB. Whether it's in the green, yellow, or red, can hand you decades of clear warning and a clear plan to live heart attack proof.
How do you lower it?
You are not living in real time. You are living in your brain's edited version of reality. This just messes with my mind so much, but in the past I have talked about how you only see 5 to 10% of what you're looking at with your eyes, meaning that your eyes take in raw data, shapes, color, movement. The other 90 to 95% is your brain creating the image for you. 90 to 95% of what you're looking at is your brain modeling it for you. But while listening to the book Lights On, the author Annika Harris brought up something so fascinating. So you obviously have your 5 senses: smell, hearing, touch, sight, and taste. These all send different signals to the brain, but they do not all arrive at the same time. Sound is slower than light. Touch takes a longer time to register than sight. So she gives the example like if your brain is telling you to play the piano, the muscle will send the signal to touch the key. You'll feel the key with your finger. You'll press it down. That hammer is going to hit the chord. It's going to make the sound. Your ear is going to hear that sound. It's going to process it. All of these signals go to the brain. They do not all happen all at once, but your brain brings them all together to give you one cohesive picture, one cohesive experience. In a lot of ways, we live in the illusion of instant experience, but it's actually your brain mapping everything together through these binding processes. So your brain will hold back the faster signals to synchronize it with the slowest signal. When the last signal comes in, it stitches it all together and creates this experience. What's crazy is that this binding can break down. There's people that have disjunctive agnosia where not all the pieces are bound together, so they have a very fragmented experience that can be very, very confusing. There's even things like finger agnosia where you lose the ability to differentiate between fingers on yourself, on other people. You can't differentiate between them if someone's touching one of them. What's fascinating about this is this shows that we are not experiencing reality. We are experiencing how our brain stitches reality for us to experience it. This right here is only one example of how your brain creates your reality for you to experience. But I love this rabbit hole because, to be honest, everything around us could just be data, and basically your eyeballs take in that data and then your brain maps it to create the illusion of this physical experience, which I guess takes the saying you project your reality even further, because yes, you project your thoughts, your feelings, how you react to things, your conditioning, your programming, all of that you project, and that's how you translate what's going on. But what if you actually project everything within reality? What if we're just a ball of energy surrounded by other energies and we just happen to be in our haptic feedback suit? And within that suit, we have our VR goggles that take all the data, the energy around us, and it creates something for us to watch like a movie, for something for us to experience. Maybe true, maybe not. Very interesting though. I love you.
Bizarre, but so fun to watch.
So scientists have found 2.6 million mysterious eggs underneath a underwater volcano. Literally, this is what they look like. A whole bunch of eggs. They don't know where the eggs come from, but we know the animals that do lay eggs. And so a lot of people are assuming, because they're kind of big, they're not really small eggs, a lot of people are assuming that it is Leviathan. That Leviathan has laid all these eggs, and there's going to be 2.6 million Leviathan that hatch from these eggs and take over the world. That's what a lot of people are thinking. If I'm being honest, I do think it's something pretty crazy. I just want to know what animal is laying 2.6 million eggs. Is it Leviathan from the Bible? Or is it a dragon? Because I've seen a lot of people saying that it's probably a dragon. It's near a volcano and it's underwater. Could it be a Leviathan breathing, fire breathing dragon? I don't think any of those things are beyond a realm of possibilities, considering the fact that everything and anything has been happening, and it's kind of weird what our world has been seeing lately. But what are these 2.6 million eggs? What creature could be inside of those eggs? It does not make sense to me.
Pacific White Skate, 10 years incubation. You're welcome.
If you needed further proof that we live on the remains of a much larger past, and that geology is nothing more than hardened biology, let's take a look at where a trendy and popular ingredient you might have in your cabinet came from: Himalayan salt. You tell me what these caves look like. Let's take a look at some of that salt taken out of these mines and collected into a pile. Now, do those not look like slabs of meat or what? Here's a closer picture of one. How about now? If pork ribs aren't your cut of choice, don't worry. There's many other cuts to choose from here. In the right conditions, after a great flood-like event, buried and covered in sediment, these petrified beings became the new mountains and hillsides of this realm. If you aren't convinced, let's do a few more side-by-sides. You got rock and meat. One of my favorites, you got bacon, and you got bacon rock. History is nothing more than a set of lies agreed upon, and the same goes for most all of academia. The truth is in the hillsides and in the mountains, hidden in plain sight. Question everything, friends. Until next time.
Let me know how you feel about this in the comment.
This video comes with a major trigger warning.
But healthy boys is never abandoned.
We are going to be talking about...
I can't look at this.
Stuff.
Secrets will eat you up.
Documentaries have the ability to affect me way more than any horror film can.
My body is the rock and roll temple.
And some documentaries are damn right too disturbing to rewatch. And so with that in mind, my name's Ricky. I love documentaries, but here are 4 documentaries so disturbing I never want to watch again. First up, we have the Dancing Boys of Afghanistan.
This
documentary is disturbing simply because of what story it is telling.
Sick.
And that story is heartbreaking. In Afghanistan, there is a tradition where boys are dressed up in women's clothes to dance for men. And a lot of these boys are really, really young. The journalism involved in making this documentary is incredible, but it's an incredibly difficult documentary to sit through because we see these boys, we know what they're going through and the reason for it, and it's heartbreaking. I didn't walk away from this documentary feeling good at all.
Yep.
Next up, we have Hated, the G.G. Allin story. So G.G. Allin was the frontman of a band back in the day, and he was notorious in the punk scene because of the things he did on stage and off stage. And a documentary crew follows G.G. Allin around over a period of time in his life. It's shocking, it's graphic, he is not a good person. And this was before, you know, the days of Marilyn Manson and this kind of like shock rock kind of thing. This guy took things to the extreme and you see everything. The Dying Rooms is a documentary that I have never been able to finish. I've tried to finish this documentary a couple of times and I simply can't get through it. The documentary takes place in China in these orphanages, basically, that house girls. It's graphic, it's heartbreaking, it is simply grotesque. And finally, we have Leaving Neverland. Now, this was always going to be controversial to put this on a disturbing documentary list, but this is a disturbing documentary because of the content it covers. It's graphic and it's in detail, and I can't listen to Michael Jackson.
I remember watching The Dying Rooms. The ending left me sobbing and made me think of how bad human race really is. Changed me forever.
The longer the emotion we feel from some event in our life, a trauma, a betrayal, a loss, a shock, a diagnosis, the event produces an emotional response. and the high quotient of the emotional response changes our internal state. And the moment we feel altered inside of us, the brain takes a snapshot, freezes a frame or a series of frames and takes snapshots, and that's called a long-term memory. From a biological perspective, every time the person remembers the problem, they're producing the exact same chemistry in their brain and body as if the event was happening.
Okay.
Cortisol, the adrenaline, whatever the emotion is. When they feel that emotion, we could say then that the body is reliving the event emotionally 50 to 100 times in a day. So the trauma is no longer in the brain at that point. Now the trauma is also in the body, because thoughts are the language of the brain and feelings are the language of the body. And it's that thought and that feeling, it's that image and that emotion, it's that stimulus and response that's conditioning the body subconsciously to become the mind of that emotion. And now that person emotionally is branded into the past.
The body keeps the score.
Keep waking up in the middle of the night. The sages say it's not random. Your soul is waking you up. In Kabbalah, the night is a powerful time when our soul ascends to receive spiritual energy. But if you're waking up between midnight and dawn, it's a sign that something is blocking that energy from fully integrating. Think of it like a download from the Creator. If your system is overloaded with stress, fear, or unresolved emotions, the connection gets disrupted. Your soul wants to complete the process, but something is interfering. So the soul comes back down to wake you up. Ever notice how worries feel louder at night? That's because the distractions of the day are gone, and your subconscious is trying to process what's left that's unresolved. Instead of fighting it, use that moment to realign. If you wake up at night, breathe, surrender, and ask, what is the Creator trying to show me right now? Many sages say that waking up at night is an invitation to pray, to meditate, or to receive divine guidance. Your soul is awake for a reason. Listen, here's a mantra for you. I trust the messages that my soul receives. I am always guided, and I ask the Creator to show me my soul's purpose.
Before you go to sleep, you pray to God in Jesus' name.
What if your mind is actually not inside your body, and rather your body is actually inside your mind? And what if that mind, that field of consciousness, can create real healing for the physical body? Scientists like John Wheeler and Donald Hoffman both say that consciousness is fundamental, meaning that consciousness is not stuck in your head, it's actually non-local, not bound by space or time, and exists in these quantum fields throughout the universe. And this is how you can use it to heal your body. There's an emerging field in medicine called biofield therapies. In science, the biofield is this field of invisible energy and information that influences our health. Essentially, this field is a reflection of the physical body. By correcting the underlying imbalances in this field, the physical body gets better. And growing research shows that biofield therapies such as Reiki are better and different than placebo, while statistically and clinically showing significant results. And this is explained in Dr. Shamini Jain's book on why the biofield connects back to consciousness for our healing. The key takeaway here is that your mind is more powerful than you think, and by learning biofield therapies, you can tap into these tools to accelerate the body's healing. If you're interested in learning more about the biofield, check.
This is going to be a really short video. I'm not going to get into the context. You're just going to have to take my word for this, okay? I study neurolinguistics, which is the relationship between language and the nervous system. And what I want you to know is I am is a mental instruction. Let me say that again. I am is a mental instruction. Therefore, whatever you say after that, you become, whether you realize it or not. Use that phrase intentionally and use it on purpose and start auditing the things that you are claiming that you are, because you are telling your brain what to make you.
Well, then I am the prize.
Keep in mind, you cannot spot a psychopath, but you can spot manipulators pretty quickly. Number one thing that you need to look for is if you've ever met somebody who has been happy their whole life. And they're, even by the time they're 19, 20 years old, you're going to see these little crow's feet kind of
just almost permanently etched onto the face. Our forehead acts like a social billboard. People who don't really communicate socially, you're not going to see much movement of those eyebrows up on the forehead, but you're going to see a lot less lines in their forehead, and you're going to see a lot less movement in the forehead.
Really?
Someone who's really skeptical or angry all the time will look like this. So you'll see this muscle right here start squeezing together. That's called the glabella right here. And somebody who is really skeptical all of their life, you're going to see it squeezes your lower eyelids. Yeah. Right? So it makes our lower eyelids wrinkle. And you can spot more suggestible people, higher degree of suggestibility by just the smoothness of this lower eyelid.
Not all psychopaths are, manipulators.
In voodoo, right? There's this entity called Papa Legba.
I've never heard of this.
He is basically the whole guardian of the crossroads, and he's the protector of the crossroads. But what a lot of people don't know is that in American Horror Story, when they made the episode about that guy, Papa Legba, or that spirit, there was some paranormal that went on.
In the actual show?
In the actual show, and it happened to the actress. Her name was Gabri Sidibe. Basically in the episode, she was a human voodoo doll. So whatever happened to her, it literally would cast and injure somebody else. And in the episode, they made her character say a real life chant to summon this spirit or to summon the devil. I'm not sure exactly what it was for, but they were summoning something.
Oh, please.
That's what they were playing in the show?
Yes, bro. After they did that chant, they
in
were
the name of Jesus,
trying to get into her camper while they were doing
makeup?
her makeup and stuff. The big studio lights started flickering. When she finished saying the chant in the episode, her mouth started swelling up.
What the?
So we all have to say these words. I refuse to say it, then I feel bad. I'm like, fine, I'm gonna say it. And I start feeling a finger here. I don't say anything to anyone because everybody already thinks I'm crazy. The finger moves down, down, down. All of a sudden, what happened, ladies? My top lip, the other lip, 5 times bigger. They have to.
Richard Harris, the actor who played the first Dumbledore.
Oh, yeah.
It was later in his life, he saw a picture with him sitting in front of a Rolls Royce. He's like, I don't have a Rolls Royce. He's like, I've never owned a Rolls Royce. And it said that he was so confused by it and asked everyone he knew, he's like, do I own a Rolls Royce? And then it said that he contacted his 2 ex-wives. He's like, did I ever buy a Rolls Royce for me or you?
You guys?
And they're like, no. Turns out he had a drinking problem.
Oh, no.
And he was in New York, and this guy gifted him a Rolls Royce, and he left it in a parking garage in New York City. Completely forgot about it for 20 years.
It's still there?
Still there, and the parking fee was over $400 a month. So he paid over $90,000 to have this Rolls Royce parked there. But he was so rich, he's just
yeah, he's got that
he's
Hogwarts money.
I don't know what this bill is, but yeah.
Oh my gosh!
But he owned a Rolls Royce and completely forgot about it.
Could you imagine?
But he did take the picture in front of it.
Yeah. Could you imagine owning a Rolls Royce and forgetting about it?
I wish I was making.
I know.
Turns out he had a drinking problem. Turns out he was Irish.
This video of Mayweather is completely insane, and it's not because of all the watches. What's crazy is that all of these watches are iced out with ridiculous aftermarket diamonds that completely kill the value of the watches. He clearly doesn't care, though. He's wearing an $18 million watch. How much do you think this is all worth?
That moment sealed the scam. What started as a business deal between friends had now become a one-sided heist. Justin handed over the money in good faith, but for Floyd, it was nothing more than another payday. And the worst part, he never intended to return it. This is the money that triggered the lawsuit, the final betrayal that forced Justin to take the fight out of the ring and straight into the courtroom. According to insiders close to the situation, once Justin started asking serious questions about his missing money, Floyd Mayweather completely disappeared. Sources claim Mayweather didn't just dodge phone calls. He vanished off the grid, taking the entire investment cash with him. Some even allege Floyd went underworld, slipping deep into private circles, surrounded by bodyguards, no public appearances, no contact, and no explanation.
Man, why would you do that?
My name Mayweather just got punched up, bro.
Money, man.
So it's red.
That's what Money Mayweather.
The what?
It don't matter, we got the money.
We outside, we can film.
We got the money.
Film all we want. What you trying to get, Froggy, fam?
We got Drake.
You trying to get Froggy, fam? What? I'm recording, bro.
Why you recording?
Hold on, man. Hold on, fam. Hold on, fam. I can record anytime I want to, bro. I can record anytime I want to, bro. You don't want to get recorded. You said don't record it. Get out on page. Bro, you said you security?
This is the oldest religion you've never heard of. The Yazidis, or as they call themselves, Yazidis, are indigenous to Mesopotamia and indigenous to where I'm at right now, to Kurdistan. This religion is at least 7,000 years old. Older than almost any belief system still practiced today, their stories only pass down orally. They believe they are beloved of God. There are 2 million Yazidis in the world, with 90% of them speaking Kurmanji Kurdish. They pray in Kurdish, speak Kurdish, but many say they're not Kurds. Why? Because Kurds are mostly Muslim, and Yazidis aren't. However, it is known that many Yazidis have been forcibly converted over the years. They've faced 73 genocides in their history, and the last one was only in 2014. By ISIS. Sadly, thousands of women were kidnapped and turned into ex-slaves. There are still over 5,000 missing. In Kurdistan, in Yazidi areas, only Yazidis can own land. It even says on their IDs if they are Yazidi. You can only be Yazidi if both your mother and father are Yazidi, so they don't intermarry. It's also important that they never wear light blue, the color of the sky. Some Yazidis are trying to return to the original belief system without a caste structure, whereas others believe in the teachings of Sheikh Adi, who became a spiritual leader, a Sufi Muslim from Lebanon, sought out to preserve the Yazidis by giving them a caste system. It's pretty interesting. This is one of the world's oldest surviving religions, indigenous to Kurdistan, still here, and still standing. Today I'm visiting the holiest Yazidi temple in the entire world, and I cannot wait to share more about what I learned.
I don't think it's the oldest. You know, the Yazidis religion was created in the 12th century.
Syphilis?
Syphilis. This is a skull here at the Bone Museum that had syphilis, but it looks perfectly normal, so how do we know? If we turn it around, you're going to notice these rounded lesions called Keri Sika, which are indicators of syphilis. But what even is syphilis, and why does it do that? Let's take a look. Syphilis is a sexually transmitted disease caused by the Treponema pallidum bacterium, and it works in 3 stages. And what we are seeing here is the 3rd or the last stage of syphilis. Now here's what you need to know. Because we are here at the Bone Museum, we're only going to focus on the last stage, called tertiary syphilis, as it primarily affects bone. When syphilis gets down into the bone, it does either one of 2 things. It either inflames the bone or it destroys the bone, causing necrosis. What you're seeing here is called Keri Sika, which is that necrotic destruction of the bone, mainly observed in the skull. Now, the infection actually moves so slowly that it's giving the body time to heal the bone. So what you're seeing here is this kind of battle between the body and the infection, where the infection destroys the bone, but your body's trying its best to repair it. Now, for the most part, Keri Sika only really affects the outer table or the outside of the skull, and doesn't really touch the inner table or the inside of the skull unless the infection gets bad enough. This is a femur here at the Bone Museum, also with syphilis, but what's going on with it? Here is the inflammation that is caused by the syphilitic infection. Now, you have a membrane around your bone called the periosteum, and when the periosteum gets irritated, what it will do is it will start laying down new bone. Now, the syphilitic infection at that point had been in the body for so long that it starts irritating that periosteum, and the periosteum will start laying down new unhealthy and brittle bone. You can see these lesions and holes here within the new bone that almost look similar to the Keri Sika. Now, an interesting thing to note is that syphilis will usually actually spare the articular surfaces, and we can see here that the inflammation and the enlargement of the bone doesn't actually start until a couple inches down the shaft. Because these pieces are so invaluable to medical education, the Bone Museum had actually sent this piece out to bone clones to get cast. So while the original is housed here at the Bone Museum, medical professionals are able to purchase a cast of it to teach their students the effects of syphilis. We believe that everyone has the right to study osteology, but we also know that not everyone can make it to the Bone Museum, so with this we are helping democratize osteological education. And the cast will also be available for purchase at our gift shop here at the Bone Museum, and proceeds go towards better preservation of our collection. So if you enjoyed this video and you learned something new about syphilis today, make sure to like and follow for more.
I am more scared of syphilis now than ever.
The devil listened to his podcast and killed him. In 2002,
a man called a radio show to confess something unholy. He said he sacrificed his own grandmother, and what came next cursed everyone involved. Jose called one of Mexico's scariest paranormal radio show. He claimed he made a pact with the devil to gain power, but the ritual had a price. He said he stabbed his own grandmother in cold blood, that she bled out in front of him, but when the paramedics arrived, she had no wounds. Her official cause of death? A heart attack. Jose said that's when he knew something else was in control. He started hearing voices, seeing dark figures, and even an old lady that would keep harassing him. He said the demons he summoned followed him everywhere. And during that call, you can hear his voice break. He pleads for help. It was one of the most disturbing broadcasts in radio history. Years later, Jose met face-to-face with the host of the podcast Juan Ramon on a paranormal TV show. That's when he performed another ritual, on camera. A week later, Juan Ramon...
If you guys want to listen to the full podcast, it's on YouTube. Search up Jose Falquez Podcast.
There's this study that took a group of people and taught them how to play certain chords and scales on the piano. And after practicing 2 hours every day for a week, they came back. They had these new neurological networks and they could play the scales and chords. No magic there. That's neuroscience. However, they took another group of people and they taught them how to rehearse the scales and chords, these same scales and chords, but these people never touched a piano. They were just doing it all in their heads. And every day for 2 hours, they would rehearse these chords and scales on the piano. What is super fascinating and super empowering is that these people who never even touched a piano, first of all, when they sat down in front of a piano, they could play, whereas they'd never played before. But they had the exact same neurological networks as the people who actually were playing the piano to begin with. So that is the power of mental rehearsal and immersing yourself in an experience, even if it's just the thought and the emotion combined, because the body literally does not know the difference between an experience that you're creating in your mind and an experience that's actually happening in your physical reality in the moment. And so this is a huge opportunity, and professional sports people, actors, etc., people do this all the time, right? But your body is biologically responding to whatever situation you are creating in your head. And so you can use this to help you or hurt you.
This is why I made an effort to stop thinking bad about myself.
How to vulnerably say it's fine when it really isn't. This is how to convince with Lawyer Vince. 1. I'm not fine, but I'm working through it. Translation: honest without dumping emotions on the other person. 2. I'm hurt and I'm not ready to talk about it yet. Translation: you name the feeling without inviting a fight. 3. I'm not okay with what happened, but I'm still trying to figure out how I want to handle it. Translation: you show strength and self-control at the same time. Want more on how to speak up for yourself? Click the link in my bio for my full-length YouTube video on this topic.
Now I need to translate this to Indonesian.
Guys, dude, the GameStop thing just keeps on getting crazier and crazier this week. And the internet is full of people that have no idea what they're talking about. Mainstream media is lying through their teeth. I'm going to fill you in on what's actually going on as someone who has been here the whole time. Because first off, it's running so hard right now that it halted again. And they're actually saber rattling as though Roaring Kitty is manipulating the market and causing this price run. Bro, the whole reason why we are all pissed is because we don't affect the price at all. Our trades don't even go to the market. Just the institutions push it all around with their big money while they put our orders away into dark pools that don't actually affect the prices. The whole thing is rigged. And if you don't believe me, here is the head of the SEC telling you that.
When you place a market order in the US, a market order, a retail platform, well over 90% of those trades go straight to the dark market, to a wholesaler that bought that order flow rather than competing trade by trade.
Look at that face right there. That's the face of what the fuck did you just say? So right there, Gary Gensler has just debunked all of the mainstream.
You know, a lot of us found out that the market was rigged in 2008 recession.
I think most people are getting to a point in society where they don't want to work anymore. And they don't feel like a job is worth it. Like, obviously it's worth it in the sense that you can earn a living and, you know, get an apartment or like pay for food, groceries. Obviously we have to pay bills in this life, right? I didn't make the rules, neither did you. This is what we was born into, this is what we got to deal with. But a lot of people are getting to a point like where they're like, it only makes sense to be my own boss. It only makes sense. Even people that didn't think they had an entrepreneur or business mindset or don't even want to do it, they're making content now. They're making money. They're trying to build a business. They're trying to start a YouTube channel because they realize the game is fucking rigged, bro. It's rigged. It's shot. Like, things just keep getting more expensive, but the jobs ain't paying more. I'm out in Las Vegas. I work out here. Bro, people ain't tipping as much as they used to, bro. They ain't tipping as much in the service industry. People don't want to spend thousands of dollars on fucking bottle service and tables and all this shit. Shit is not it. People don't got the bread like that. Post-COVID or even pre-COVID, you know, you had the stimulus checks, and even before then, the economy was a little better. People were spending more money. Like now, bro, people be like, they don't want to spend that bread. They don't want to go to a fucking club and spend $1,000, $2,000, $500 on a bottle and some seltzer. It's not fucking worth it. And I don't blame them. The only thing that really makes sense now is to just get the bag in your own way and free yourself from this fucking matrix. Now, we'll always be in the matrix. I mean, without getting too deep into it, it's like, this is what it is. Like, money is money. Like, you need money. There's bills, and it's the currency we use. It's the energetic exchange. You know, I'm not going to get too deep, even though it is deep. People just don't really feel like it's worth it to work a job, though, because you're sacrificing so much of your time and energy to make someone else rich and build their dream. Meanwhile, you're fucking fucked by the end of the day. All you want to do is go home and sit on the couch and play video games or chill. Now, I would advise you to take your discretionary time and use it and put it into your business as something that you want to build. Don't just fucking spend all your time doing leisure. Start making content, start posting, start making things, start producing instead of consuming so much. But man, I get it. Listen, people just be tired. People are just exhausted, bro, and burnt the fuck out from this system. This whole 9-to-5 corporate life, you know, working for like all this shit, bro. Some people are going to be in my comments like, you're just lazy. Bro, don't fucking hit me with that shit. I done went through so many sleepless nights, going to work, double shifts, getting sick. I don't want to fucking hear it, bro. I don't want to fucking hear it. I work hard, bro. I work my ass off. At work, in the gym, within content, all this shit. I don't want to hear it. And there's so many people. I'm not special. So many people are like me busting their ass. We're not lazy. It's just not worth it.
You know, I don't mind working. I just don't want to work, you know, towards building someone else's empire and making someone else wealthy.
أهلني أمي خوالي فاطي حارتي الجيران أنا خايفة على الكل حرام في عالم ما صنبا والله في عالم ما صنبا.
God, please help all Christians in Syria. Jesus will wipe your tears, man. Don't lose your faith and hope.
I'm talking in code, but this is good. Keep up. A very important person was just named by a witness in the Diddy trial. A very important person. And I can't say it because I'm not going to get my account taken down because this is big. Let me just put it this way. All of us conspiracy theorist people, we're high-fiving. We are virtually high-fiving right now. They asked this person, did this, you know, this rug dealer, he sells area rugs, you know, to people who have big houses. They're custom made, pink. The prosecutor just asked, okay, did he meet with a lot of people? And the guy says, yes, even former, I can't say it, but I'm telling you guys, we are at Number 47 now.
Yep.
Backtrack a couple, okay? That's who we're talking about. Now, this is all allegedly, but I am just saying that this witness just named off this person. Immediately, Combs' attorney's like, objection! And the judge is like, they did not expect that name to be thrown, but I tell you what, me and every other conspiracy theorist did. High fives it to my community.
Ali Carter mentioned Obama months ago.
There's a study where they took a group of elderly men and they asked them to pretend that they were 20 years younger, and they provided an environment where the music was like they were like it was in their 20s, and the pictures on the wall and all this stuff. And at the end of the study, they were taller. Their finger length was longer.
No way.
They scored 60 points better on average on an IQ test. And the researcher was saying that by the end of the study, these men were throwing down their canes and playing touch football
No
with
way.
her. And so, gosh, I mean, draw from that what you will, but it's like, who are you pretending?
The mind is so powerful, we have no idea.